Hello again, wrestling fans, and welcome to another edition of the Good Friends, Better Enemies podcast. My name is Jay, and we are back to our Card Subject to Change series. And this week, we have a very special guest booker, a dear, close person, a longtime friend of mine, Tyler of the Counted Out 7 podcast. Tyler, how you doing, pal?
What's going on, brother? I guess you answered my question. Am I the good friend this week or the better enemy? I don't know.
We're going to find out based on your booking, I would assume.
I hope I stay on the good friends, and I think I hit a home run on this one, but I'm biased to my booking.
Yes, I am very excited to hear all about it. As alluded to in the show poster this week, ladies and gentlemen, we are covering the Royal Rumble from 1993, January 24th, in fact, from Sacramento, California at the Arco Arena with about 16,000 and change in attendance. Now, Tyler, I don't know how you feel about 1993. It's a soft spot for me. There's a lot of what's that going on in the WWF. But I mean, WrestleMania 9 is a guilty pleasure of mine. I love the Bret Hart title run going into 93. There's a lot of great stuff going on in 93. It's really a year of transition in my mind. The year that we transitioned with 92 as well, going from, the 80s superstars of Hogan and Savage and people of that nature going through into now we have Bret Hart as our flag bearer for the company. Do you have a soft spot for 93, or is it kind of hot garbage for you?
I think 93 is the best worst year in WWF history. And it's evident by some of the names that you see in this Royal Rumble match. There are some amazing talent in this match, and there are some, I don't know what's going on here moments. The early part of 93, I think they were definitely trying to figure things out. But, with the original booking of this Royal Rumble with Yokozuna going over, Bret Hart as your world champion, you could definitely see the youth movement happening. They kind of hit a little road bump in the middle there with the end of WrestleMania 9, having Hogan come back and the bad booking of that King of the Ring world title match. But by the end of 93, I think they were on a pretty good path. You're planting the seeds for Bret and Owen. You got, unfortunately, the failed run of Lex Luger, which I think could have worked if they pulled the trigger on him at SummerSlam. So definitely a year of trial and error for the W.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we rebooked 93 SummerSlam here on the podcast back. Actually, it was the day of SummerSlam. Tyrone and I did it live in person for the first time. We'd been together in the same room for quite some time. We were having a couple of pops and recording it. And, I'm right there with you. I do feel like Lex Luger probably should have had the trigger pulled. I mean, you never know until you try. And they came so close. They put so much momentum behind him with the Lex Express and all the rest of it that I don't really understand the reasoning behind not at least trying it. I mean, if it doesn't work, put the title on someone else at Survivor Series, But with that being said, I do agree with you. By the time we got to the end of 93, we were on a really good trajectory. I think Survivor Series 93 is maybe my least favorite Survivor Series of all time. But with that being said, going into 94, WrestleMania 10 was a really solid outing. And then, of course, going through SummerSlam and all that kind of thing with that cage match in 94 was outstanding.
Even the Rumble was really good in 94 as well with the co-winners. I thought was intriguing. The Bret and Owen had that great match with the Quebecers, which was really good. And that really kicked off the Owen Hart heel turn. So, 94, I think, is where they really started to get together. And then once they put the belt back on Bret, I think they had a fantastic rest of the year, leading into Diesel Power, taking us into the new generation in 95.
Yeah, exactly. And I love me some Diesel Power. So, I have to talk to you about something. We talked about this briefly off air, and I'm just curious. I'm not the kind of person that typically goes on the podcast and has negative thoughts. And neither is your dog, apparently. Maybe that's an omen that I should keep my mouth shut.
We got to run into Max the dog. He's him and I are both on the mend actually. He just got fixed this week, so he is going to get sidetracked there. Maxie, hey, Max got fixed this week, and I just got my boosters, so we're a couple of banged up old hoochies.
So sorry, you both got fixed.
Yes, Victoria's had enough of me. She's fixed me.
Perfect.
He's just protecting us from the evil mailman there.
I like that. That's very good. Perfect. Well, you want to keep away from him. He is always a menacing force in the
That's
neighborhood.
a gimmick that Vince McMahon missed out on with all the other ones. We had a plumber, we had a hockey player, we didn't get the evil mailman.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't. Well, I guess we got Carl Malone, so we got some sort of mailman. But I was just gonna say that, typically not something that I really get fired up about. I try to keep things positive here on the podcast, but I have to ask you, Tyler, what's going on with Ric Flair? I mean, to me, he is just desecrating his legacy. I actually unfollowed him on social media. I can't deal with his over the top putting himself over constantly. It's like if anybody whispers that somebody might have been on his level or somebody has an opinion that they liked another performer better than him, he flies off the handle. He can't handle criticism. I don't know if it's insecurity or if he's just that arrogant, but I just feel like at this point, I've always known Flair has been very high on himself, and I understand that. You know, he's a performer and he's had people inflate him all his life with his ego and everything else. And listen, he has the talent to back it up. I'm not dismissing Flair's talent, but for me personally, I just feel like at this point, he's hurting his legacy by constantly putting himself over. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, the dangers of social media, you know what I mean? I wonder what would have happened, 20, 30 years ago if some of these other legends, the Buddy Rogers or the whoever's had a Twitter, what kind of damage they could have done too, right? Not that I'm saying Buddy Rogers was an asshole or anything like that, but hindsight being 2020, it's the world that we live in. You have something in your head, you can put it out to the world in 10 seconds. You know what I mean? I've got a couple takes on it. I'm not a fan of it. Obviously, I stay away from it. I agree with you. I've kind of lost interest in Flair now. I don't know if it's just him trying to be, shock value, stay relevant in the business. I don't know if he's just being a bitter old guy. I don't know if he's pulling an Iron Sheik and trying to work a gimmick or a Virgil here and just kind of being crazy and just trying to work a gimmick to get in anywhere. But I don't think it's doing him any favors. Everybody knows Flair's the greatest of all time. We don't need to hear it from him too. Put over some of these young guys. Why beef with Becky Lynch? Maybe it's a personal thing because, you got the rumors with Charlotte and Becky, but, Jericho, what's beef with Jericho all of a sudden? Like, I don't know, man. I don't get it. It's not a good look for him. And I'm really upset. I'm really sad to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I do have to take issue. I personally, for me, I don't think Flair is the greatest of all time. I think a lot of people do, and I certainly understand why. I think a lot of people think that he connected all the dots and brought all the different pieces together to be the most complete professional wrestler maybe of all time. I don't necessarily agree with that. But, from my perspective, I agree with you 100%. I don't know if it's that he's working a gimmick here. If it is, it's pretty close to, working himself into a shoot. I feel like I don't need him to constantly reiterate to me the fact that he thinks he's the greatest. And I also feel like every time he even heaps praise on someone on a social media comment, say, be it a tweet or what have you, it's always in a roundabout way, giving himself, some kind of like pat on the back, being self-congratulatory, in comparing his achievements to whomever he's congratulating. So I've just had enough of it. I'm over it. I don't know if he's going to end up in AEW. There's been hints of that. The other thing too is I'm a little surprised he's so high in himself, considering, where we were back in the fall with that Dark Side of the Ring stuff. And I certainly don't want to get into that, but I'm just a little surprised that he's been so present on social media and been so over the top in terms of heaping self-praise on himself. It's just a little bit of a disconnect for me.
He thinks he's indestructible, right? And that goes back to the ego. He thinks that he's done no wrong, can do no wrong. He's the nature boy. Everybody loves him. And, it's a dangerous game thinking like that. And especially in, the year 2022, where cancel culture is a real thing, whether it's, what your take on cancel culture is and whatnot. That's a whole different conversation. But the world is different, and you need to evolve with that world, or you're going to be left behind in that world.
Oh, 100%. I completely agree with that. And so, we'll see what happens with him. He really dodged a bullet, I feel like, this past fall. And so it's going to be interesting to see where we go from here. I will say, if in case anybody's wondering, because I did mention I don't think he's the greatest of all time. In terms of my favorite overall character in the history of wrestling, it's The Undertaker. But in terms of my favorite wrestler of all time, and I think he blows Flair out of the water, it would be the gentleman on our poster this week, Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at a guy like Bret Hart and Kurt Angle. I don't think there's any comparison. Even a Chris Benoit, controversy aside, those guys in the ring blow away Flair in the ring. But if you take a look at a complete package with overall gimmick, work rate ability, and the biggest factor for me is drawing money, I don't think there's an argument that Flair's the greatest of all time.
Yeah, that's fair. That's completely fair. And I might be biased as well, but I also think that I've never been particularly high on my perception of who Ric Flair is. Again, I don't know the guy personally, so I certainly don't want to speak out of school and assume that I know who he is or what he's about. But from all accounts and from what I've seen, in interviews and things of that nature, I don't know if I ran into him at a bar, if I'd be all that interested in having a conversation with him. I just, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that I'd want to keep company with. But that's, aside from that, going into this week's booking, we are talking about the Royal Rumble 1993, which in canon, Ric Flair was a part of, but also who was a part of this particular event was, again, Bret the Hitman Hart. He had won the championship from Ric Flair in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, back in the fall of 1992. I believe it was October. We had ourselves a fairly decent title run. Bret had gone through Shawn Michaels at the Survivor Series, and now we're going in to the Royal Rumble. And in canon, he faced the bad guy, Razor Ramon. If that's not a new generation main event for a championship, I don't know what is. Of course, we also have Yokozuna, who is a newly emerging figure in the Federation, and he is going on to be a participant in the Royal Rumble. So, as you alluded to before, Tyler, we have a lot of, who's that and what's that of wrestling going on in this particular Royal Rumble. There's some great names in here, but there's also a couple of head scratchers. I'm very curious to see where we end up at the end of this particular event. Do you have any memories or thoughts about, 93 or specifically around the Royal Rumble? Is there anything that you want to discuss before we get into the rebooking?
I love Bret Hart's pure pink tights in this. I thought they look amazing. I'm a huge Bret Hart fan. So I remember I was in grade 2 when he won the world title. And, this was pre-spoiler days, right? I don't know that Bret Hart has won the title on a house show. I turned on Superstores. I was at probably my aunt's house, I think. And I turned on Superstars. And all of a sudden the show kicks off with Mean Gene going, "Ladies and gentlemen, your new world heavyweight champion, Bret the Hitman Hart." And I lost my mind. I ran to the phone because that's what you did back in the day. You called your friends. And I called my best friend at the time. I was like, "Oh, my God." And we lost our mind. We were so excited for it. And, I liked the way that they presented Bret as a fighting champion because in 1992, you look back now, like a guy like Papa Shango gives the shit. But in 92, 93, they protected the bigger guys because we weren't getting how we get on Monday Night Raw now with these name versus name matches. We got a lot of squash matches, right? So when you did get to see the big names fight each other, it was a bigger deal. But, we'll get into the Bret's booking as the champion a little bit later. And who knows if I even have him as the champion coming into this event.
Yeah, that's very true. And just a quick cheap plug. I'm not getting any kind of kickback for saying this, but there's a website called Chalkline Apparel. And I actually own a pair of Bret Hart shorts that are mimicking his ring tights from that particular website. And they've actually recreated Bret Hart's ring attire here for the Royal Rumble 1993. They have those pink tights as kind of like track pants. So it's kind of a fun little website. You can get a lot of mimicked, ring gear and stuff like that, which is fun. They even have the Shawn Michaels Royal Rumble 97 with the Texas, the red, white, and blue and all that kind of thing. So.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll have to get more popular for my birthday in June and make an Amazon wish list for all of our wonderful listeners to send me presents.
That sounds good. Absolutely. And we'll make sure that we populate a group thread email and make sure that we get as many names on as possible there for you to really encapsulate your birthday wishes.
That's it.
All right, man. Well, I am ready to get back in my time machine. I'm ready to get back to Royal Rumble 1993. It's an exciting time, a transitional time. So if you're ready, Tyler, why don't we go set the stage? We're going to go back to Sacramento, California. We're going to enter the Arco Arena. And are you ready to go, man?
I'm ready, man. I got Max the dog curled up on me with his cone on his head. I'm all boosted, worn down, and I'm ready to roll.
Sounds good. So our opening contest. Oh, are you doing the dark match?
What was the dark match? I can't remember.
It was Doink
right?
versus Jim Powers.
That's been scratched. We'll put
that can stay dark.
We'll put Coco Beware versus the Brooklyn Brawler as the dark match. How's that?
Okay, sounds good. So
Coco Beware will be not in the Royal Rumble match.
Okay, and did he go over?
Yeah, Coco, get the crowd happy, get the Birdman. I know he's being part of high energy right now with Owen, but he's going to come out to Birdman and just get everyone flapping their wings to get the crowd ready for our opening contest.
I like it. Okay, sounds good. Perfect. We will do that for sure. And so our opening contest is the Steiner brothers going up against Bo and Blake, the Beverly brothers. What do you have for me, buddy?
Okay. Tyrone, do not kill me, okay? Because this pained me to do. But I changed this match. And I have a valid reason for it. As much as I love this match, and I am a massive mark of the Beverly brothers. So please, Bo and Blake, and even back to their AWA days as Bad Company. Big fans, no disrespect. But I changed this match to the Steiner brothers versus the Head Shrinkers in a number one contender match for the WWF Tag Team Championships.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm surprised by this. Only because you put the Head Shrinkers on. I mean, they were one of the top tier teams in 93, 94, so I get that. And I guess the Beverlys at this point were kind of sort of part of that last generation. I mean, they were still younger competitors, but they were still they were ingrained in the latter part of the 80s wrestling boom, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so basically you nailed my thought process here. As much as I love this match, the Beverly brothers were being weeded way down the card at this point, and I'm pretty sure this is one of their last pay-per-view appearances for the company, if not their last pay-per-view appearance. I just felt like putting the Head Shrinkers in there because they were more relevant at the time. It's going to make it more competitive, wondering who will win the number one contender match. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm taking their awesome WrestleMania match that they had at WrestleMania 9, and I'm putting it to open this pay-per-view.
Okay. Yeah, I'm all for that. That makes sense. And sorry, did you say who goes over?
I got the Steiner brothers going over to be your number one contenders. I would like to see, and again, I don't even know if I'll be rebooking WrestleMania 9 or whoever will be rebooking it, but I think that having the Steiner brothers in a tag team title match heading into WrestleMania 9 makes a lot more sense than the tag team situation that we got at WrestleMania 9.
Yeah, and I think that I don't want to speak for Tyrone, but I think that both him and I really, really kind of enjoy WrestleMania 9. So since you've taken it upon yourself to rebook, the Royal Rumble, I do think you're obliged to rebook WrestleMania 9 as well, because I don't know if there's a lot that I'd change on that card.
Yeah, I've got this whole card ripped apart, and I love WrestleMania 9 too, but I'm going to make it better, guys. I promise.
No, I'm sure you will. I have complete faith.
We're getting the exact same. I want to just copy and paste WrestleMania 9, Steiners and Head Shrinkers to the Royal Rumble. And, Money Inc. and the Steiner brothers, they never had a pay-per-view match. And that always bothered me. They had house show title changes and matches on Superstars and Coliseum Video, but I would like to have seen them have a match on pay-per-view.
That's very fair. I do like that booking. I think it's a strong choice. And again, I mean, the Beverlys really weren't doing a lot here. So, yeah, by all means, switch it up. Put the Head Shrinkers in there. And I like that you have the Steiners going over. I think that the Steiners could have used a little bit more juice when they came into the company. I just never really felt like they got out of the blocks in WWF. I mean, they won the titles, but they never did really do a whole lot for me. I mean, considering their lineage and their legacy, even in 93, I feel like there was a missed opportunity with the Steiner brothers.
I'm with you 100% on that. You know, just think about it. If you did the Steiners and Money Inc. at Mania, you could still keep the Steiners and the Heavenly Bodies at SummerSlam. And then if you want, you can blow off the Steiners and Money Inc. again at Survivor Series or I guess maybe not. DiBiase was done in '93 there, but you know, you could have them drop the belt to the Quebecers at Survivor Series if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite opens of Survivor or SummerSlam of all time. Actually, is DiBiase and Ramon.
Good
So
match. It did
it was
well
a
in
good
our
match.
pool, our tournament that we had in the summer for opening matches in SummerSlam history.
Yeah, I mean, like that's that's indicative of past generation versus new generation, right? Like perfect
100%.
example of it. So, yeah, I'm all for this booking. So, unless you have anything else, I'm ready to move on to the next.
No, the last point I have is God. I love the Steiner Brothers theme music in WWF.
Really, eh? I was never that big
Love
a
it.
fan of it. It was okay.
The marching band. Oh yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, I'll take Boomer Sooner over that.
Yeah, fair.
Okay, so our next match on the card is for the Intercontinental Championship. And we have Shawn Michaels, your champion. He's the Heartbreak Kid, McMahon. And he's defeating Marty Jannetty by pinfall. Curious to see if you've kept this or if you have changed it. And before you get into it, I will say I've had this debate with Tyrone. I believe he had this match on his SummerSlam card for us as well for 93. And I feel like at this point, we had the breakup in January 92. This feud for me is really long in the tooth. I don't need to see Shawn and Marty anymore at this point, but I'm curious to see what you've done.
Well, I wanted to move this match to WrestleMania, but Marty got fired before that, so I left this match the same. Because they needed to have a match. They hadn't had a match yet. Marty was off TV the entire time up until, a month or two before this pay-per-view. So really, this was their first big match in this feud. Shawn had been off building his new character. Marty came back. I left this match the exact same. Originally, I will tell you what I wanted to do is I wanted to have Marty return at the Royal Rumble and interfere in Shawn Michaels' match that I was going to book against The Undertaker.
You were going to have The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels.
I was 8-minute disqualification finish. Shawn would have, count out finish. And I wanted to kind of be like a little hidden gem in their legacy. You know how like everyone forgets about Brett and Shawn at Survivor Series 92? There's like always those little hidden ones. I just wanted this to be a fun little 8-minute Taker looks dominant, and then I would have had an angle to set up Taker's WrestleMania match after. So, but I kept this the same. Same. Shawn and Marty need to have a pay-per-view match. With Marty being fired, this is what I'm doing. I love Sherry in this. I thought she was great. The match was a little bit of a letdown, but we're keeping this one the same.
No, that's interesting. I didn't. I mean, if memory serves, the WWF was advertising that Shawn Michaels Undertaker match at Ground Zero 1997, the In Your House in September. I believe it was September 7th. They were advertising that as the first ever meeting between the two. Now, I'm sure that at some point in a Coliseum video or a house show or what have you, they had touched before. But it would be interesting to go back and be like, oh, Royal Rumble 93, we had Taker versus Shawn, and it was, what it was.
I just think it made sense. I'm looking at the roster in 93, and if it's not Marty, who deserves this title shot? Taker's coming off a win in a big feud with Kamala. He kind of wasn't doing anything at the moment, so reward the guy with a win with a title shot and build to both the WrestleMania matches at the same time. That being said, when you talk about that build to Ground Zero, I just did that on Good Friends. That's your show. I did that with Classic Match Classroom, and Taker has a great line in a promo leading up to that where he goes, "There's a reason why you and I have never touched all these years, and it's because I needed somebody left to speak my legacy, but you ruined that now, and you're gonna rest in peace." Or it was a good line like that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So, I mean, I'm going to walk back a little bit what I said here. So I do feel like you are right. They didn't touch much, meaning they being Marty and Shawn. I guess my main point is that I understand, through circumstances and people being released, people being suspended, this and that, might not be to any fault of their own, but I do feel like having Marty and Shawn wrestle a year after the breakup, to me, kind of feels like it's past its peak. I mean, all things being equal, maybe we could have gotten, Shawn and Marty at WrestleMania 8. I don't know if that was a possibility. I don't remember Marty's contractual status at that point.
I think he had surgery. I think that's why he was gone, or he was fired. One of the two.
Yeah, I don't remember.
He was out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, all things being equal, it's fine that we're still doing it, and I'm fine with your booking. I'm not dismissing your booking at all. I just do feel a little bit like this feud was drawn out unnecessarily. So, I mean, if we're still getting these matches, if I'm not mistaken, they main evented like one of the May Raws back in '93 as well. So it was like going past a year, like year and a half at this point. I don't know. I understand it, but at the same time, I feel like both guys could have done something else. And Marty wasn't going to get anything out of it anyways. What did he have, a weak title run with the IC?
Yeah. So here's what it is, though, right? They did their by the time their angle aired on TV, it was the week before Royal Rumble '92, right?
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks before Rumble '92. Shawn debuted his new character. Got to remember too, and I'll take this back for our listeners that aren't familiar with it. Back in '92. You could draw things out like this, and it didn't. It's not like it is today. You could never draw a feud out for a year today, because I will get bored of it, because they're going to fight 14 times on Raw and on the pay-per-view every month. But there was only 4 pay-per-views back in the time here. You could have a guy laid out for 6-7 months and have it believable. And when he comes back, it was fresh, and I think the people were ready to see Marty come back at this point. And Shawn had established his new character by this point, right?
Yeah, no, and you make great points, because I'm the first one to say that I like slow burn storytelling. I don't like something that, it's every month there's a new challenger and what have you. I love what they're doing with Reigns right now. I hope that Reigns holds the title until WrestleMania 40. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him get like a Bruno style run. I love that a lot. I mean, it's just, to me, that's the best thing that they've booked in eons, because they're taking their time with it. I guess mainly for me, with the Shawn and Marty thing, I just feel like I wasn't invested enough in the feud by the time we got to Royal Rumble '93. I felt like they hadn't done enough with it to keep my interest going, that by the time we did get to it, I was like, okay, well, let's just, let's get this done and dealt with. But then, of course, we kept on going through the better part of the first half of '93 as well. So that's my point. But I completely get what you're saying, and I like that you kept on the reasons you mentioned.
I do want to put you on the spot here. I'm going to put you on the spot, okay? If you did not have Shawn and Marty for the IC title, what do you do with Shawn in this card? Do you put him in the Rumble, or do you have him defend the belt?
Well, I'd have to look at
the Rumble was pretty weak too, right?
Yeah, I'd have to. You know what? Maybe I'd have him defend the title against Owen. We just had him defend the title. Brett defend the title against Shawn at Survivor Series. Maybe give Owen the rub. You do Owen and Shawn.
Owen was ready at this time. He was still wearing parachute pants and the tag.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You're right. I mean, there are some difficult.
From an in-ring standpoint, sign me up.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Perfect. Maybe do Perfect at this point.
I put some thought into that as well. But Perfect was in his little feud with Flair at this point, and I kind of like that little retirement match that they had the next night on Raw.
Yeah, maybe that young upstart Carlos Colon.
Oh, there you go. He's staying in the Rumble, by the way.
Yeah, the other guy I can think of to give Michaels the rub would maybe be Savage. Savage and Michaels for the IC might be fun. Good. But
maybe that's a WrestleMania level of match too. Put Shawn. I don't know. Savage wanted to work with Shawn at this point, so yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah, maybe Savage. I don't know. It's hard to say. But anyhow, I am happy that you kept this on, and once you kind of clarified why you kept it on and all that kind of thing, I'm all for it. And it does make sense to have that definitive blow off. Like you said, they hadn't had too many matches going up, and certainly not one on pay-per-view. So I'm all for it. If you're ready to move on to the next, so am I.
Yeah, let's do it.
Our next match on the card is a real barn burner. We have Bam Bigelow going up against and defeating the Big Boss Man.
Yeah, this one's gone. Sorry, guys. We are going to replace this with the debut of the narcissist Lex Luger. I'm going to keep the Bobby Heenan stuff because I thought it was amazing, but to a match with Lex Luger versus El Matador Tito Santana.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I actually like the idea of you debuting him here. That makes sense to me. I like that a lot, actually.
I don't want this match to be a total squash, but I want it to be a showcase match for Luger. I think Tito's the right guy for this because, he's got such a great history in the company. People still love Tito. They get behind him, even with the ridiculous gimmick. Former IC champ, former tag team champion. I want Tito to get a little bit of offense in just to show that Luger's a tough guy that can take it. I want Bobby Heenan just, pulling a Ric Flair 92 on commentary with Luger, putting him over. And I want Luger to get the win over an established WWF star, bringing in some new talent here.
Yeah, it makes all the sense. And I mean, somebody like Tito. So you said Tito, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tito makes all the sense in the world to me. I mean, he wasn't going to be doing a whole lot. Was he still doing the El Matador deal here? Or?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think that makes sense in terms of a good opponent for him. You're going to get a good, well worked match out of him, and that him doing the W, taking the fall is not going to hurt him any. So
it doesn't matter at this point because Tito's not going to go any higher at this point.
No, exactly, and he's established. So yeah, I think so. I mean, he'd been in the company. I mean, since predating WrestleMania 1, right? So, I mean, he has a legacy in the company. And actually, he's a guy that I feel like is very, I don't know if he's underrated, but I think that he doesn't get talked about enough in terms of his contributions. He's an underrated performer. I will go on record.
I agree. 1,000%. I agree with that. Him and Don Morocco are my big two to talk about more.
Yeah, 100%. So, no, I like that a lot. I think that you did a good job there. It makes sense that you plugged Luger in there. And of course with Tito, so that feels pretty good to me. The next match on the card is scheduled for one fall, and it is for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. It is your champion Bret Hitman Hart defeating the bad guy Razor Ramon. What do you have for me, buddy?
So my next match is scheduled for one fall for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship, and it is your champion, Bret the Hitman Hart, defending against the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Okay, very interesting. I did not see this coming. Didn't even occur to me. We had spoken off air about possible challengers, and I didn't even think about Flair.
So before this match, we're going to cut to a backstage promo with Ric Flair, and he's basically going to say, Hitman, everybody can get lucky once. Got me in Saskatoon, but now you're under the bright lights. It's pay-per-view, and I'm going to show you why I'm the Nature Boy. So basically putting over that, Bret's never defended the title on this big of a stage against this big of a star. Kind of trying to get into Bret's head a little bit. The match itself, I've got Flair controlling most of the match because I want Bret to show that championship fight against a star. You know what I mean? I want him to get those chops. I want him to get the suplexes. I want Flair's whole offense on display here. And I want Bret to keep getting up and keep fighting. I've got Bret making a comeback, superplex for a near fall, backbreaker, and Bret's rope elbow for a near fall. I got Flair hitting a low blow when the referee isn't looking or is down or something like that. And I got him locking in the figure 4 leg lock. When it looks like Bret's about to tap out, he's going to turn it over and he's going to sit it up into a sharpshooter for the submission win. And Bret Hart is going to retain the title.
Nice. I like this a lot. I feel like this makes all the sense in the world. I mean, I don't necessarily dislike the original booking of Razor versus Bret. I don't know if Razor at this point was ready for that spot, but
he wasn't, and he shouldn't have been losing either. I don't think.
I agree with you. I think that this makes way more sense, especially because Flair's on his way out. He should be putting guys over, and we had this discussion off air, and I'll just bring it up to the audience's attention. I definitely think that one of the things that hurt Bret Hart's initial title run was that he wasn't put over by enough of the established stars. So I feel like, yes, he won, he beat Flair, but Flair really wasn't that established in the WWF. I mean, yes, people knew who he was, but it wouldn't have been the same as, Bret being put over by Hogan or Savage, or I guess he got put over by Piper, which is big, but that was before he was the champion. So I really think, especially based on the fact that Flair's already on his way out, he's got one foot out the door. It makes all the sense in the world for Flair to job to Brett again and to get, that definitive big time pay-per-view win over Flair. I love it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going for with that. You're still going to get Brett that big win. Flair's putting people over, and you're giving that rub that I agree with you. That conversation actually kind of inspired me to book that title match. And it keeps Razor safe. I don't think it was time for Razor yet.
Yeah, and I mean, for me personally, like I don't want to get off topic here, but I don't know for me if there was ever a point where I really felt like Razor was going to be the WWF champion. I mean, could he have been? Sure. But there's at no point during his run, for those, 3 or 4 years, did I really feel like, okay, this is the time they're going to pull the trigger on Razor. I always kind of felt like he made sense in the Intercontinental title picture.
Yeah, I think so too. I never saw him as the world champion.
Yeah. So for the purposes of this particular card, I think you've done really well. That's a great substitution. And, I think that absolutely, going to your point about hidden gems earlier, I think that would be something that people could point to and be like, okay, well, this was the match that really solidified Bret Hart's title run. I did remember telling you off air as well that at one point, I think that there was some whisper or rumor about, had the Ultimate Warrior not left the company in the latter part of 92, there was possibly penciled in Bret versus Warrior. And imagine Bret, submitting Warrior to the sharpshooter in 93 would have been a huge deal.
I'll tell you, the rumors that you hear about Warrior in the ring, if Goldberg knocked out Bret, I don't think we would have got to that point if he got there with the Warrior.
Yeah, true enough. Yeah, true enough. It would have been, he would have gone to business for himself maybe. But anyhow, yeah, love the booking. Great choice. If you have nothing else, my friend, I think I'm ready to get into the main event of the evening.
After the Royal Rumble, baby.
Let's do it. So we have the 30-man over the top rope Royal Rumble. Tyler, if you'd like, I can name all the competitors in it, or if you've changed people, it's totally up to you.
I'll just tell you who I changed and who's out and who's in, basically, and everybody else is the same. If you guys want to look it up, then look it up. You know what I mean? We're not going to name 30 names here. That's crazy, guys.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I'm curious to see what you've got booked here for the last closing moments of the match.
Match is the Head Shrinkers and Tito Santana, obviously. I've also taken Terry Taylor, Skinner, and Coco Beware out of the match. I've replaced them with the Big Boss Man, Bam Bam Bigelow, Razor Ramon, Crush, and Doink the Clown, as well as a surprise entrance that we'll get to later.
Okay, I like that you put Doink. This is still like evil heel Doink. Yeah, I guess it would be, right? It just debuted. Yeah, that's great. I love that. We just talked about the evil Doink last week in our Fantasy Royal Rumble match, which was a lot of fun. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that, by all means, go back and check out that episode. We had a lot of fun with Nick from the Universal Wrestling Podcast, and we waxed nostalgic about all things evil Doink for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, and then that's this is my I'm sorry for taking the Beverly Brothers off the card, Tyrone, but here's Doink the Clown.
Yeah, exactly. I'm fine with that. I'll take one for the price of two.
So I'm not gonna run through every second of this match. I have 4 spots that I'll just talk about in this match. Okay.
Yep.
My number 1 and my number 2 entrance is going to be Tatanka as number 1 and Doink the Clown as number 2. We'll come back to that in a minute. There is going to be a spot in the Rumble where Mr. Perfect is making his entrance, but Ric Flair is going to jump him on the way down, start a brawl with him, and lead to a quick elimination for Perfect to build some steam for their retirement match tomorrow night on Raw. Want to keep that going. Flair's going to be pissed off losing the title match, and he's going to take it out on Perfect.
Yeah, that all sounds good to me.
So I'm going to have Doink this Clown actually get a good run in this Rumble. He's going to last to about the 18th spot, which is about 36 minutes into the Rumble, 36 to 38 minutes. And that's when The Undertaker is going to make his entrance, and he's going to eliminate Doink the Clown. After the elimination, Taker's going to turn around, and on the other side of the ring, a second Doink is going to be standing on the apron. Taker is going to be looking at that Doink, and the original Doink is going to jump up and pull the Undertaker over the top rope to the floor, eliminating the Undertaker. The Undertaker is going to do the old school Undertaker head turn and slowly stalk Doink the Clown to the back as Bobby Heenan screams about illusions in the background.
Do you ever think you'd say doink that many times in a sentence?
That was a lot of doink in there.
Yeah. As long as there wasn't too many dinks, I think we're okay. But so I like that. I can see where this is going, and I have long since had the opinion. I think that you share it. I know Tyrone definitely does. That evil doink could have main evented WrestleMania. I mean,
I don't
that
know if he
gimmick.
could have main evented WrestleMania. I think I look at Evil Doink as like a Razor Ramon, where he's like right under that main event level.
I
But
don't
he's
know, man.
definitely.
I think if
I
they
guess it would
positioned
depend
him
on the
the right
booking,
way,
but
imagine if they had done those conceptualized matches like we saw the Firefly Funhouse match and we saw the Boneyard match. I always thought it'd be super cool, like going back in time. Obviously, we can't do it, but well, I guess in rebooking world we can. Doing a match at like a county fair where you have like the funhouse with the mirrors, you have like the Ferris wheel, the teacups, and it'd be like late at night and there's nobody around, but things are still kind of running. You have the stand with the water guns where you have to fill up the balloon and all that kind of stuff, the stuffed animals. I think that would be like the creepiest, coolest match ever.
I'm with you on that actually. And you know what? See why they can't reintroduce Doink the Clown as a heel now. It doesn't matter. Put somebody else under it and make him an It the Clown type of character.
I think it would still work. I really do.
Clowns are scary for a lot of people. I think it'd be a great heel character, and there you go with the Funhouse matches, right?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like a license to print money. I mean, for them to, I mean, you can modernize it a little bit, change the look a little bit if you want, or even like just have the same outfit. It would be kind of nostalgic. That one might even make it creepier is the fact that he's hasn't changed in 30 years, and then have him come out and have those kinds of matches, with all the obligatory weapons that would be involved with it with a county fair. I think it'd be a ton of fun. Plus, you just imagine the spots they could have in that mirrored house.
Oh yeah,
right?
awesome. And hypothetically building to a WrestleMania match with the Undertaker in 1993 against Doink the Clown, the evil clown. Think about how fun the build would be to that. Mind games that would be played, the illusions, the supernatural stuff. I just, it gets rid of the Giant Gonzalez, which is great. There's a place for him in the company, but not against the Undertaker.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. I mean, this is like for the purposes of the Royal Rumble, I feel like maybe being an attraction, yeah, you could have him in. I mean, even if it's a one and done. I mean, kind of like Carlos Colon. You have him come in, do a one and done, or you could have him come in and be like an attraction type thing on a house show if you're going to do battle royals and whatever.
Team, man. Put him in a tag team.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really happy that you changed this. The trajectory of WrestleMania looks a lot nicer now. Truthfully, I always forget about the Taker Gonzalez feud, so I'm really glad you've changed this up, and I think that that's something we could really look forward to booking come WrestleMania 9.
It might still keep you here because we're about to get a little bit crazy now, and
Sure.
But you want to talk about changing trajectories. Let's go into my next big spot here. After all this stuff, the next entrant in the ring is going to be Yokozuna. The ring is pretty full by this point. I want there to be about 9 people in it. And I want Yoko to just eliminate 8, you know what I mean? 7, 8 of them. I want the ring to get down to just Tatanka and Yokozuna. The next entrant is going to be Virgil, who's going to get tossed out in seconds. So we can have a little bit of Tatanka and Yoko in there. I want Tatanka to hit some chops, eventually getting caught with a huge belly-to-belly and a leg drop. Yoko dragging him to the corner, getting ready for a banzai drop. And the buzzer's going to go off, and our next entrance is going to come out. And that is Hulk Hogan. Make his return 1 month sooner than he does in WWF television, because it's almost a month to the day that he returns on Monday Night Raw. So my logic is, it was well aware that Hogan was coming back at this point, so we're going to bring him back at the Rumble here. We're going to have Hogan and Yoko go face to face. Hogan's going to rip his shirt off to a big pop, because it's going to be a big pop because he hasn't been seen in over a year, right?
Yeah.
I got these two brawling. I got Hogan getting the better of punches. I got Yoko going to the eyes and hitting a belly-to-belly suplex. I'm gonna have Hogan do that Hogan no sell though, where he gets up and he like does his little Hulk up thing, and I'm actually gonna have Hulk Hogan eliminate Yokozuna from the Royal Rumble.
Okay.
Now hear me out. I got more here, so let's keep rolling here. The next two entrances are gonna come in by the luck of the draw. It's gonna be Money Inc. So you've got your DiBiase. Tatanka's still out. He's hurt from the leg drops and the belly to belly. Plus, he's been the number one entrant, so he's really banged up. You got Money Inc. Working over Hogan. 25th entrance is going to be Razor Ramon. He's going to join in on the beatdown of Hogan. And then the 26th entrance is going to be the Macho Man Randy Savage. And he's going to come running out, and we're going to get a little Mega Powers reunion tease here. They're both going to send Money Inc. over the top. Razor's going to get knocked down. Hogan and Savage are going to come face to face. And what are they going to do? Are they going to fight? Are they going to do the Mega Power handshake? Well, we're not going to find out, because before anything happens, Mr. Fuji is going to be up on the ring apron. That's going to piss off Hogan. Hogan's going to walk towards Fuji, and Fuji's going to throw salt in Hogan's eyes, blinding him. As this happens, Razor is going to sneak up from behind Macho Man, hit Macho Man into Hogan, and Hulk Hogan is going to be eliminated from the Royal Rumble. Savage is going to go over the top, but he's going to hold on and stay in. And Yokozuna is going to be on the floor waiting for him, and he's going to lay Hogan out with 3 huge leg drops on the floor. And Hogan is going to be stretchered out of the Royal Rumble.
Very interesting. Very interesting indeed.
Here's my mind frame behind this. I think too soon for Yokozuna to be the world champion right now. And I think it's too soon for him to be in the main event of WrestleMania against Bret Hart right now. I think that is maybe something you look down the road to. Yoko's only been in the company really since November. You know what I mean? This is a quick turnaround to put somebody in the main event. Now, I know they were booking him pretty strong and keeping him, off his feet and stuff like that, but I want to build Yoko up more. And I think putting him and Hogan together at WrestleMania instead of that atrocious King of the Ring and that atrocious finish to WrestleMania might do more for Yoko than having him do the original plan and losing to Hogan at WrestleMania.
Yeah, and even just taking the L to Hogan, because you know that Hogan's going to go over.
Take your pick. If you take your L or you put him over, like Hogan.
Either way,
Hogan
he's a made man.
Yoko over at King of the Ring, right? I would put Yoko over Hogan at WrestleMania and just get Hogan out of there sooner than June.
Yeah. I got to be honest with you. I wasn't sure we were going with this, and you still haven't told me who wins the Rumble, but
we're getting there.
Yeah, but I thought you were going to go with Brett and Hogan at 9, which I would have been really psyched about. It's maybe the one match that I always wished happened that I never saw. Maybe my number one.
It's your great white shark, man.
What's that?
It's your big, what is it called? The great white shark, or the great, what's the one that always got away from you?
Oh, Moby Dick?
Yeah, we'll go with Moby Dick.
My white whale.
Moby Dick. It's your white whale. There it is. It's your white whale.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. We're getting Moby Dick references this week on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Moby Dick and Doink the Clown. Here we go.
Absolutely. That's a tag team to draw to right there.
Keep rolling here. We'll get to the number 4, the final 4.
Doink and Dick.
The final 4 in the Royal Rumble are the Macho Man Randy Savage, Tatanka, Razor Ramon, and Bam Bam Bigelow. I want Tatanka to really shine in this Rumble. I've kind of put him in the Bob Backlund spot. You know what I mean? Where he goes coast to coast, because Tatanka's a guy that they were pushing really hard, and he was getting over. So, let the man shine in the Rumble. Tatanka hitting Bam Bam with a flying cross body, and I've got them both getting eliminated to the outside. I've got Razor Ramon and the Macho Man as your final 2, and I've got the Macho Man Randy Savage winning the 1993 Royal Rumble.
Yeah, and that's where I thought by the time we eliminated Hogan, I was fairly certain. So this means that barring any unforeseen changes, ladies and gentlemen, your main event of WrestleMania 9 is going to be the incomparable World Wrestling Federation champion Bret Hitman Hart defending against Randy Macho Man Savage, and that is a WrestleMania main event that would go down.
As the show goes off the air, sorry to cut you off, but your champion Bret Hart is going to come out and he's going to have the title and he's going to shake Macho Man's hand and raise it. And that's how we're going to end the Royal Rumble, with a mutual sign of respect, with Savage giving him the Savage eyes, though.
I love it. I love that. I think that's an awesome choice. I mean, as much as I would love to have seen the Hogan-Bret match just to give Bret that win and stamp him as the next face of the company going into the new generation era, if you want to talk about a match, a worked match with incredible spots, skill sets, imagining these two guys in the main event of WrestleMania 9 would probably be one of the greatest WrestleMania main events of all time.
Yeah, you're going to get a better in-ring match, 1,000% with these two. Savage's name still carries the same clout as Hogan at this point. You're going to get Hogan working with a young guy, Savage working with a young guy, and it gives Macho Man another feather in his cap of his illustrious career with a Royal Rumble win. World champion, IC champion, and now you put a Royal Rumble winner in there as well. I just think it's another nice little accolade for him to have. Lots of fun build that you can do to Mania. Do you turn Savage heel? Do you keep them doing the babyface stuff? Who knows? Do you put the belt on Savage and run it out? Like, there's a lot of things that you can do with Savage at this point.
Well, I really like the way you've kind of positioned this whole event, because to me, it's really becoming the transitional WrestleMania. I mean, we've already talked earlier on in this podcast about how 93 was a year of transition, a year of ferment for the WWF, and how by the time we got to the end of 93, things were on track, but there was a little bit of turbulence there in the beginning to the middle part of the year, especially with that just god-awful Hogan title run that went, 3 or 4 months until King of the Ring, and as you alluded to, a horrible finish to a horrible title run. So the way you've positioned this, you have Money Inc., going up against the Steiners potentially. You have Hogan going up against Yoko. You have Savage going up against Bret. It really is. I mean, if you want to,
the Undertaker tease.
Yeah, I mean, to me, right here, it's almost like the headline for this particular WrestleMania could be, the torch passing WrestleMania almost.
Yeah, absolutely, right.
Kind of the same way that kind of the same thing that we saw at WrestleMania 19 was kind of like a torch passing WrestleMania.
And it still leaves you with a lot of strong talent that aren't booked in a big match yet. You've still got Razor, you've still got Perfect, you've still got Luger, got Shawn Michaels, Tatanka, right? There's so many big names that you can do so much with still in that card. Do you bring Brutus Beefcake back as a little name value there? And there's, to me, this is the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble 93 is the first Royal Rumble where they started the build to WrestleMania at the Royal Rumble. This was the first one that the winner of the Rumble got the title shot as announced beforehand at WrestleMania. So I kind of wanted to run with that a little bit, and I do think the Royal Rumble is the pay-per-view that should be taking you on the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And again, to your point, I think part of my love of WrestleMania 9 is the undercard. I mean, some of the matches aren't the most well worked, but there's something about WrestleMania 9 that I really enjoy. So I think that, even though we've kind of divulged, we've played our hand in terms of where we might be going with our booking, or rather where you might be going with your booking of WrestleMania 9 now, there's a lot of fun potential matchups still to come on an undercard.
And there's 2 months or 3 months before you get there. So who knows? Stuff could change,
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So, I really enjoyed this booking. I think you did a great job, and I like the idea because you kind of swerved me there. I will be honest. I was almost, once you put Hogan in there, I was almost certain, like 99% certain that it was going to be Hogan Bret. And I kind of really like this wrinkle of Bret Savage. I really like that a lot. So, all in all, man, I think you did a great job booking this card.
It saves Yoko as well, because this would be the first time that he showed any type of weakness by getting eliminated from the Rumble, but he put Hogan on a stretcher and had Hogan carted out in his first night back in the company. So, you got heat on Yoko now. Macho Man, as you know, I think he'd be a tweener going into Mania. Probably would be my guess. You couldn't even turn him heel, and like Rich had a lot left in the tank at this point, and I wish Vince would have used it.
Yeah, me too. And I mean, to your point, I mean, with Yoko, you can keep building him. Like you said, he did just really basically debuted in November of 1992. So at this point, we're about 6 months after his debut. That's a big time push to become the champion. So I feel like if you build him towards SummerSlam, Survivor Series, maybe even just hold it off and have him win the 94 Rumble or something like that might be fun.
1,000%.
Yeah. So I like
you
this
have
booking
him win
a lot.
the 94 Rumble, and you could even do, him and Luger. You could do him and I would keep Brett and Owen, obviously, but you could still have the Luger turn. That could be their summertime feud still. Like, there's all that. Yoko doesn't need to be the champion for any of that.
No, he doesn't at all. That's exactly right. And I mean, I think truthfully, doing the Lex Express thing with Yoko, not having the title involved, then you can keep it exactly the same. But having the championship in the picture, then it makes sense. It doesn't make much sense why they didn't pull the trigger on Luger. You take the title out of the equation, then you can keep that all the same, and you could even still have it main event. I mean, that's one of the rare occasions where you could, based on how they built the event around, the Lex Express and around Luger, you could put the championship on, the match before, and it wouldn't hurt it any.
Yeah, and you could have, let's just say you have Yoko beat Hogan at WrestleMania. He can still do all that stuff on the ship, being I killed the American hero. Who's gonna take me? You know what I mean? Like, Hogan is the American guy, so there's your segue into that feud still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm right there with you. So, like I said, man, like, this was really well booked. I really enjoyed this, and I'm excited. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I would love for you to come back and book WrestleMania 9 come Mania season.
I'd be happy to do it if as long as the stars align and the schedules can work out, because you and I always have the hardest time aligning the stars.
I know. Yeah, absolutely. But, I would move heaven and earth to get that done. I'm very excited about having this particular WrestleMania rebook now that you've set the table so expertly here. But with that being said, Tyler, thank you very much for coming on. We, as alluded to at the top of the broadcast here, are back to our card subject to change series. So we're not 100% sure what we're dropping on you next week, but we do know it's going to be Royal Rumble related. We're working on some guests and possibly some further rebookings. I know for myself, I really want to pick up from where I left off and Tyrone left off from the latter fall of 1991. I had booked to the Survivor Series 1991. And then, of course, Tyrone had booked this Tuesday in Texas. I would love to pick up the Royal Rumble 92. I have some ideas of where I want to go, and I'm really, really excited about the prospect of getting into WrestleMania 8 as well. So stay tuned. We will certainly let you know where we're planning on heading in the next week or so in terms of our next show, and we'll have something fun and Royal Rumble related on tap. Tyler, in the meantime, would you mind telling our listening audience, as I'm sure they're acutely aware, where they can find you and what you're all about in terms of the Counted Out 7?
Well, I mean, you're listening to it right now on our YouTube page, Counted Out 7. Please hit that subscribe button, leave some comments, head over to www.countout7.com for all things Counted Out. We got a lot of big plans in the new year. We got a new logo, a new look, and we got a lot of fun stuff lined up. So thanks for sticking around, guys. We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. You have rebranded your logo much like WCW 99. I'm very happy about it.
Let's hope we have better success than they did.
Yeah, well, I like that logo. It's actually a really, really underrated logo for me. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I really like that 99 WCW logo.
I did as well, but I'm more hoping we stay in business past the year.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. All you have to do is outwork the other guy, and you've been outworking everybody twice on Sunday. So, yeah, we're looking forward to some great content. You also have a big show coming up, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I don't know. It probably will have already been dropped by now. If not, it's dropping this week. But we got to sit down with the legendary Paul the Butcher Vachon, which is going to be really cool. I'm actually speaking to him. We recorded this a little early, so I haven't spoken to him yet, but I'm really excited to. The guy's a Canadian legend, probably the second biggest family in all of Canadian wrestling behind the Hearts. I can't wait for that. We're working on some other interviews on the year. Royal Rumble season's coming, so we'll have our Royal Rumble list, and stick around for the return of Class Match Classroom as well. We haven't forgot yet.
Yeah, and one last thing, Tyler, if I'm not mistaken, you have a big anniversary coming up in the next few weeks as well, do you not?
That's true. We have the 100th episode coming up. I don't even know. It's sometime in February, I think, is the 100th episode, which is going to be awesome. We're working on an awesome guest for that. Hopefully, we can finalize that soon. And then the next month, right around WrestleMania season, is our 2-year anniversary show. So lots of fun stuff this year for Count It Out.
Yeah, very exciting indeed. And we are privileged to be a part of the Count It Out 7 family and be under the umbrella. We have a lot of exciting stuff on tap as well with our particular branch of the service of the network. So we are very much excited about debuting some new concepts and ideas coming up into the new year and going into 2021, 2022, the spring of 2022. Easy for me to say. But with that being said, Tyler, do you want to just drop some of your social stuff?
Yeah, everything's at Count It Out 7. If you're having a hard time finding it, www.countout7.com is the home to everything that we do, including the Good Friends, Better Enemies. Like I said, like, subscribe, leave those Apple comments, anything to help us get up there. We really appreciate it.
100%. And we are in the same boat. You can find all things Good Friends, Better Enemies at www.countout7.com, as well as on social media. You can find us on Instagram at good_enemies. And on Twitter at good_enemies. And for myself, for Tyler of the Count It Out 7 podcast, for Tyrone, we miss you, buddy, and can't wait to have you back soon for the Royal Rumble 1993 and for Bret Hart versus the Macho Man, Dig It, Randy Savage. You have been listening to the Good Friends, Better Enemies podcast.